TG Geeks, episode 294, October 5th, 2020. Eureka! We found the warehouse! Hello and welcome to another webcast from tggeeks.com, where Ben and Keith, the Two Gay Geeks, talk about all aspects of geekdom and nerdery, sci-fi, comics, film, horror genre. You name it, we talk about it. I'm Keith Lane. We're coming to you from TG Squared Studios in lovely Phoenix, Arizona, where it's getting downright cool, like 72 degrees at night. Now
at night, maybe in the morning. I mean, what night? Maybe
well,
2 in the morning.
Yeah, 3, 4.
Okay, yeah,
something
sure,
like that.
Yeah, and I'm Ben Raggington, coming to you from Warehouse 14.
Yes,
but wishing he was.
Yes, we have so much stuff.
Yeah, but wishing he was. It does. It feels like Warehouse 14 in here. But wish he was living in the town of Eureka, here at TG Squared Studios in Phoenix, Arizona.
So we're going to get right on with it here.
Prepare for hyperdrive.
Meanwhile, in the Hall of Episodes, the Two Gay Geeks are discussing this.
Well, as the intro should have given you some idea, and if you listened to last episode, we're going to talk about, in the first segment, we're going to talk about our rewatch, and we finished it last night, meaning Friday night, of Eureka, the sci-fi series that ran, 5 years? Is that what it was? 4 years plus.
Four plus, because I hardly count that fifth year as a year.
Yeah, as a season. And then we have our birthday shout-outs, our podcast of the week, and feedback. And then in our second segment, we're going to talk about our rewatch of Warehouse 13.
Which we finished the same night.
Exactly. So that was kind of an interesting thing. We talked about that. And we're going to talk about Eureka and Warehouse 13, both sci-fi original series. And then we have our weekly recap and our shout-outs. And that's going to be the episode this time. It's just us. Mm-hmm. How about that? Can you believe it?
Or not.
Or not. Here we go. And this time, we welcome to the show the Two Gay Geeks, Ben and Keith.
Hi, glad to be on your show.
Yeah, I'm so glad to be here this week.
Yeah.
Anyway, I have to do something silly, you know.
Of course.
So we just finished watching.
Talking about silly,
Eureka. Which was, what was it? When was that? 2006? 2008?
About.
Something like that?
Yeah.
A really fascinating show on Sci-Fi when Sci-Fi was really,
before it was Sci-Fi.
Yeah, before it was Sci-Fi. And before
AKA the Pro Wrestling Channel.
Exactly. So it was, I don't remember watching that series. I know you watched it.
Oh yeah,
and I watched some of the episodes, and I remember a couple of things. But it was really interesting.
Well, I remember we tried to do a rewatch from the very beginning. A number of years, quite a few years ago.
Yeah.
You didn't seem to be all that intrigued with it at the time, so I abandoned that. I kept watching it on my own. But then we decided to just do a rewatch on Warehouse 13, which you and I did watch quite regularly when it was on Sci-Fi.
Right.
And it was at that point, I think it was you made the suggestion, maybe we should take a look at Eureka, which thrilled me to no end because I loved that show.
It was, I thought it was a lot of fun. And of course, you read in the trivia, of course, we live on IMDb all the time. And you read in the trivia that Sheriff Jack Carter's Jeep,
poor
Cherokee,
Jeep.
they destroyed 27 of them in the 5 seasons.
It's almost like the Jeep becomes a character.
Yeah, and it was like, no, not again.
Well, it's sort of like the South Park gag. Oh my God, you killed Kenny, you son of a, you know, that kind of thing. It's like, oh my God, you destroyed Jack's Jeep, you son of a,
yeah,
that kind of thing. But then it became funny because it's like, okay, how many ways can we destroy the Jeep?
Exactly.
And it became hilarious after that.
Oh, yeah. And, of course, in the last episode,
it just
they literally take it apart.
Yeah, they dissect it.
But, yeah, it was a fun show from the very beginning because he didn't know what he was getting into.
I don't think any of us knew what we were getting into when we started.
Well, you know, and it took off from the very first episode when he's just basically delivering his daughter to Eureka. And then,
actually, was he delivering? No, I don't think he was delivering it to Eureka. I can't remember now. He picks her up. They end up in Eureka. I don't think he was delivering her to there.
I don't know. I thought that's what she said. She was running away to Eureka or something. I don't know. Anyway, but they wind up in Eureka, and he finds out that there's something weird going on, and being a federal agent, you know,
he was a federal marshal.
He just kind of picked up on it and his instincts, and he became the town sheriff. And
he solved the mystery. What happened to the boy? And everybody was, you know, you got all these brainiacs in the town of Eureka thinking, okay, well, this kind of thing happened, so therefore this happened to the boy. You know, he could be gone, he could be here, he could be there. You know, and then Jack takes one look and says, "Hold on a minute," and he walks right in, finds the kid. Because the kid was hiding in a secret compartment. He knew right away.
But then there's all the other fallout from all the stuff that was going on, and then he necessarily got involved in this super secret town of, and DARPA.
What I find fun about that, I mean, so let's first talk about the town. Now, this is a town that was just, the very first time I watched it, all I could think about is how badly I wanted to live there.
Yeah.
Because this is like the geek town of all geek towns.
Yep.
And I mean, just you have the most insane collection of people who live there. Totally offbeat, starting with Vincent.
Right.
And Cafe Diem.
Right.
Which I would have loved to. I mean, that's a place I could, I think I could die there.
Yeah. It was anything you want.
For free.
For free. Yeah.
I know, but because Vincent was also a scientist. But purely in the area of cooking, but a scientist.
Right.
He was able to concoct these most amazing meals. That's your first clue. And then you see people just doing all sorts of weird things with just regular everyday objects, that make you realize, okay, obviously,
there's something different about this town.
I have just stepped through the looking glass,
Exactly.
and call me Alice at this point.
Yeah. And then, everything was so hush-hush, and we can't tell you that, and this and that and the other. And then when he becomes town sheriff, obviously he gets in on some of the inside stuff.
And he didn't even want to be town sheriff.
No. Yeah.
That's the beauty of it.
Then all of a sudden he goes back to L.A. or wherever it was that he lived and into his office, and his boss comes in and says, You've been promoted to sheriff of Eureka.
And I says, "What? That's a promotion?" He says, "It's a higher pay grade."
Exactly.
You're making more money.
Yeah. And so it was really fascinating, though, to see, because they made a joke throughout the entire series of Jack's IQ was nowhere near any of these people that lived in Eureka.
It really hit just around average.
Yeah.
Which is 100.
Yeah. And so, but he was able to solve all of these things just from his instincts and his gut, if you will. And his good crime solving techniques,
which echoes
made
to
him the everyman.
It did, but it echoes to something that Allison, she's one of like the top figures of global dynamics in Eureka. She says something right in one of the last episodes of the season. Okay, maybe he doesn't have the highest IQ there. Maybe his IQ is just average. But in her eyes, she realized it. Just because he didn't have a high IQ, he still was the smartest man she knew.
Yeah.
Because he knew how to use his intelligence.
Right.
I mean, as limited as it was, he was able to use it in the best way imaginable. I mean, and of course, he tripped his way into the solution every single time.
Yeah, and he was just a big doofus sometimes too, you know.
But that was his technique.
Yeah.
You know, that's how he was able to solve all these things, by just kind of tripping and then realizing through simple common sense that, okay, this is the problem here. And that, I mean, 98% of the plot complication that happened throughout the entire series, he was able to solve simply through using basic common sense. And which I think is kind of neat, because he really was the classic and cliche fish out of water.
Yeah. And he is kind of the glue that held the town together. Everybody looked to him.
In the very last episode, that he's called that.
He's the one that had the relatively clear head and calm and knew what to do, and was always there and was always dependable. So it was really interesting, and that was I segue into the ensemble cast.
Yes,
that's what really sells this series, is the whole ensemble that they put together for this, with the deputy and all the people at Global Dynamics and Vincent and his daughter even. Zoe
became a very key figure in throughout the entire series, and to see her journey from being what is basically a delinquent to becoming a Harvard graduate who's going to become a doctor.
Right.
I mean,
exactly.
Wow. I found that so intriguing and so exciting, to show that you can choose your path.
Right.
And you don't have to think yourself as being completely limited or totally trapped in whatever frame frame of mind that you may have, or that you may be programmed with, that there is something that you can do for yourself. Zoe proves that, and even Jack proves that. And as far, again, going back to the cast, we saw just the most amazing group of actors who really fit into these skins so beautifully, starting obviously with Jack, moving immediately to Henry, who I think was just one of the neatest characters around. And then, of course, Taggart.
Oh my gosh!
He is a dog. He's a glorified dog catcher, despite the fact whatever he said.
Right.
I mean, so many phenomenal actors in the plays. But you mentioned cast. The one that I got to really come back to is Colin Ferguson as Sheriff Carter. The guy was he was so good in this show as an actor.
Right.
I think he's an underrated actor, because there's a classic episode that you and I were just like, at one point we were just laughing hysterically, where the character of Fargo and Jack switch bodies.
Right. Yeah.
And Colin Ferguson takes on all of the physical attributes of Fargo.
And did it perfectly.
It was brilliant.
Yeah.
I even I told you how I found him on Twitter. He was very active on Twitter at the time, and I messaged, and I just happened to say, just watched this episode with, and I tagged Colin Ferguson. I said, one of the best acting jobs I've ever seen, and he wrote back to me and said he was really appreciative of the fact that I enjoyed what he was able to do, and that was one of his favorite moments in the entire series.
Right. Well, he also directed several episodes as well. So,
and he obviously he was a producer as well. But yes, he directed a number of them. Guy's he's a great talent. And what kind of pains me is that the last thing we saw of him is that he was the Maytag man.
Yeah, exactly.
And that kind of broke my heart, because I think any studio or any production company that doesn't hire that guy, man, you're missing out. Super talent.
But as we said, the ensemble cast, they became part of. I tuned in every day. I mean, because we were watching them every day to see these people that we came to know, and it was really fascinating.
You came to care about them.
Exactly.
It's like I cared about the fact that I wanted to see Joe and Zane get together.
Right.
I wanted to see Fargo and Holly. I want to see that relationship work. I love to see Sheriff Andy.
Oh, he was. What a scream.
I loved it every time he showed up because he was, when he was operating correctly, he was such an innocent, and again, another kind of doofus, but in an android body, but still really charming.
And then there was Sarah, the smart house.
The smart house, yes. And
that had attitude.
But I kept thinking, I wouldn't mind.
Exactly.
As long as we can draw boundaries, I wouldn't mind. I like Sarah.
Yeah.
It was a fabulous show. I absolutely loved it. I was, and when we got to the end, I was like really reluctant because I knew where it was going.
Yeah. And then, they did something in season 3, I think. They did some switcheroo, and then they changed all the characters in essence. So it was really weird.
Yeah, it was essentially a reboot.
Yeah, in the middle of the whole series.
Yeah.
And then they were able to play that successfully. It started to wear a little thin, but then once it settled down, and it would come back and rear its
I know, a lot of callbacks on
that occasionally, but it was really good. And I, at the end of the series, I said, if they do this, I'm going to be really angry.
Which they didn't entirely.
Not entirely, no.
I mean, they kind of gave a tip of the hat towards it, but they didn't actually do what you thought they were going to do.
But then
thankfully.
I was able to see how it eventually ends because there was a giveaway line in that one of them did. So it was very interesting. It's worth watching if you like, and there's some good, interesting scientific stuff. They bring a lot of physics and whatnot, and they bend it just slightly.
Yeah,
to make it humor, and it's a lot of humor too. So.
Yeah, it's an enjoyable show, and it's got great rewatchability. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to turn around and watch it again now.
No,
but I think maybe in about 3 or 4 years, enough time would have passed. It's like, okay, I think I could take this one on again.
Exactly.
Hello, this is Zachary Wheeler, science fiction novelist, and you are listening to the Two Gay Geeks.
And that was our rewatch of Eureka. And now we have a few selected birthdays for October 5th through October 11th, 2020.
Oh, these first two are interesting.
October 5th. Louis Lumiere, one of the Lumiere brothers. He actually, with his brother Auguste, were the ones that were the Lumiere brothers with the first, moving picture and all that. But actually, it was Louis that invented the first cinematograph.
Indeed.
Yes, he was the engineer, although he and his brother, they were referred to as the Lumiere brothers.
Right.
But it was mostly a contractual thing. They signed contracts together, and his brother was somewhat disinterested. He played in, he appeared as an actor in several of the things, but it was Louis that really did all of the work. He was also... They both worked in their father's factory manufacturing plates for cameras. And Louis developed new techniques and even a color process. And the name Lumiere disappeared after a merger with the Ilford Corporation, which they were a major manufacturer of fine film products. I mean, I used Ilford film way back in the day.
Never heard of Ilford.
Oh, my God. It was incredible film. Just incredible film. And then we have Robert Goddard, rocket surgeon.
Yes.
Or scientist, sorry.
Surgeon.
It's not rocket surgery, man.
It's not brain science.
He led us to the stars. And then we have, interesting, I only put this on here, I didn't put any trivia, but it's just an interesting coincidence that Clive Barker and Donald Pleasance share the same birthday. Just his, the horror aspect of it.
Well, and Clive Barker, LGBTQ, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. And then we have October 6th. George Westinghouse, inventor and businessman. He invented the air brake system used on trains.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, because he had come across a horrible train accident. And a number of different things for trains, and that's why in the film The Current War, He has his own train, going back and forth. But he invented that air brake system and was a proponent of AC power distribution.
That's right.
Then we have Ioan Gruffudd, actor, Fantastic
Welshman.
Four, Forever TV series. He played the oboe. He has dual citizenship and lives in L.A. right now.
Oh, I didn't know that. Well, good for him.
And then we have friends, Carla Lewis, Joshua Jeremiah, who is a opera singer. He was also played the poet in When Adonis Calls that I saw. And then Joseph Spector, President, General Manager, CEO.
Grand Poobah.
Grand Poobah of Arizona Opera. Happy birthday, Joe. October 7th, Niels Bohr, Danish scientist. His contributions to the understanding of the atomic model and the quantum theory. His model of the atom, he developed a model of the atom and proposed the electrons and how they move around the nucleus. But it's been replaced, but the underlying principles still remain valid of the way we understand.
I'd imagine it probably got replaced with a
Yep.
better understanding of quantum mechanics.
Exactly.
But the basic physics are, the essentials are there.
Right. And during the 30s, he helped refugees from the Nazis and barely escaped arrest himself.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, good for him.
Because, Denmark was huge. They were big in,
It was like a sanctuary place.
of sorts.
Yeah.
So then we also have Desmond Tutu, South African Anglican theologian. He was the Archbishop of Johannesburg at one time. He was the first black African to hold that position.
And what a mind.
Anti-apartheid and human rights activist. Wow, just incredible. He's 93 or 92, 90, no, he's 89, because he was born in 31.
Oh, there you go.
And just fascinating. And then I put this one on there.
How appropriate.
Sean and Aaron Ashmore. And more of an interesting coincidence since we're going to talk about Warehouse 13 in the second segment. And Aaron Ashmore was in Warehouse 13. And then we have friend of ours, Jonathan Lapoma. October 8th, Sigourney Weaver.
Hi,
actress.
I'm Sigourney Weaver.
Exactly. She was an actress. She was with Alien, Galaxy Quest, and her voice in Finding Dory.
Finding Dory, yep.
Hi, I'm Sigourney Weaver.
But I will love her best in Galaxy Quest.
Oh, my gosh.
She really shows that she has very strong comedy chops.
Exactly. And her father was a NBC TV executive.
Oh.
And led somewhat of a charmed and sheltered life and went to, all these fine girls' schools, etc. And his idea for the desk and couch talk show was his. Start the Tonight Show and all of
really?
that. Yeah. So that was his idea of having the host behind a desk and then have a couch there where,
what a shame he couldn't patent that idea because he could have retired.
Yeah, exactly. But, what was it? David Frost had the two chairs.
Yeah.
And several, what was his name?
Dick Cavett.
Dick Cavett.
Had that.
And
because the whole thing started with Steve Allen, and he did not have the sofa, if I remember right. That started with Carson.
Yep. And then we have Frank Herbert or Herbe.
I've heard
however
both.
you want to say. He was actually born in Tacoma and lived in Salem, Oregon, ran away to Salem, Oregon. He's the god of Dune, shall we say. And,
he's the God Emperor of Dune. Brum-bum.
Ha ha. Yeah, right. He was the one that wrote Dune.
Yeah.
Anyway, October 9th, John Lennon of the Beatles, peace activist, singer, tragically murdered in the lobby of his apartment. It was
What year was he born?
I can't remember now.
Because I'm just trying to think how old he would have been had he not been killed.
He's in his 80s now.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, God, that still is like one of the most shocking.
It was December 8th, I think, in 1980
80 or 81
or something like that. I remember laying in bed and hearing it on the news.
I was at
oh my God.
I was at my best friend's house, and they had the telly on, and we were just playing. His mom was there, and we were all kind of playing, around a cards or something, And then that news item came on, and the reporter kept going back and forth. Is he dead? Is he not dead? And we were getting really anxious and anxiety filled because, like, tell us what's going on, and what a horrible tragedy.
Yeah, exactly. I remember being flabbergasted, and just I got up out of bed and sat and listened to the news.
Yeah,
I just cried.
I know. The man,
wow.
He helped shape popular music as we understand it, even through to today.
Yeah, and actually his son Sean was born on the same day.
No kidding.
Yeah, same birthday.
I did just realize, not to go too far off the mark, but I just found out that his son Sean learned to play the guitar from Julian.
Really?
And Julian and Sean are the best of friends.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
Even though,
they get along now.
Yeah.
Yes, Julian and Yoko get along fine. They're okay. But Sean and Julian are very, very close friends to this day, which is great, and I think that would make John very happy.
Interesting. Yeah, and then we have Carl Schwarzschild. He was a physicist. He provided the exact equations for Einstein's relativity, and we saw that just here the other day on Warehouse 13. It was some artifact.
Yeah.
And then we have Facebook friend Brian Hughes. Happy birthday, Brian.
Tigger.
October 10th. Giuseppe Verdi.
Joe Green,
yes. Opera composer. He was the great Italian composer. He was the one that is so celebrated as the great Italian.
Well, because he wrote these grand operas.
Exactly.
Aida, Don Carlo, holy moly.
Yep.
I mean these are like.
Well, and he was the beginning of Verismo, the end of bel canto, and ushered in Verismo in the opera, and he was big, huge, grand operas.
Oh yes. Really theatrical pieces.
Yep. And then we have Peter Coyote, actor. He's that sneaky little actor that's been in everything. Literally everything.
The only one that I really know him in is E.T.
Yeah, you should see his.
I don't doubt it.
He's been in everything.
I don't doubt it, but I that's the only one that I can remember.
And he was paid $28,000 for E.T.
Boy, please tell me he got something on
$300 million is what that film made.
And I'm thinking, please, I'm hoping he had the smarts to get something on the back end.
Probably not.
Oh man, he's probably just regretting that decision now.
Interesting thing, and until he became an actor at the age of 39, he was part of the counterculture movement, and actually was arrested for trying to bring in 42 pounds of pot across the border or something.
My hero.
Fascinating.
You go, Peter.
Also on October 10th, Ed Blott, a Facebook friend and filmmaker, a friend of ours. October 11th, Matt Bomer, actor in Doom Patrol, out gay man, has 3 children with his partner.
Yeah, fabulous singer, too.
Yeah, and got his start on The Guiding Light.
A lot of actors got their starts on soaps.
Yeah, exactly. And then we end up on October 11th with Thich Nhat Hanh, Vietnamese Buddhist monk, peace activist. He was exiled from Vietnam during the war for his peace activism, and just was not ever allowed to come back. He lived in the Plum Village in France, and actually in 2018 he was allowed to return. He's had several strokes and has been in ill health. He's 93 now, but he's living in Vietnam in the old Buddhist temple that he actually grew up in, if you will.
Well, good for him.
To live out his last days. It was a wonderful, some of his writings are just incredible. And that's it for the birthdays this time. Oops.
Technorama, the podcast for geeks, because geeks are better than cool. You don't hear someone say, "Get away from me, you cool person." Who's gonna have their 65-inch home theater system installed by the Cool Squad? Not me, that's for sure. How much cool cred do you have? Not enough to care about. Think you'll find any canned unicorn meat at thinkcool.com? It's just a part domain name. They don't even have roadkill in a paper cup. That's why you need to start listening to Technorama, because that's what geeks do. Go to chuckchat.com and listen to Technorama before you turn cool.
Go give a listen to our friends Chuck and Craig over at Technorama Podcast.
I'm Daniel Radcliffe, and I believe that reaching out for help is the bravest thing a person can do. If you are struggling and need support, call the Trevor Lifeline at 1-866-488-7386. It's free and confidential, and trained counsellors are there to listen 24/7 without judgment. To learn more about the Trevor Project's life-saving work for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or questioning young people, go to thetrevorproject.org.
And this is our feedback segment, and all of these items these news items that I'm going to refer to will be found in the show notes for this episode at tggeeks.com. Starting with, regarding TG Geeks episode number 291, got a comment from Gregory Ash. He was part of a little roundtable conversation we had going on there.
And also he was part of his own interview.
Well, yeah, we did an early interview,
Yeah.
but this particular time was regarding a roundtable conversation that he was in on. And he says, thanks again for having us on, and I'll explain that a little bit in a few moments. And then he says, waves wildly to be included in the next feedback segment. Well, I hope you're happy, Greg. Yes, we've just included you. I had so much fun. Thanks again for having us on. So, you want to know who the us is? Well, we got a comment from David R. Slayton. He was the other part of the us. And he says, thank you for having me.
And the
we
other
also
one
had
was
Katie Edwards.
And we're going to actually run the interview with David Slayton on next week.
That's right.
So, because his new book is going to be released next Tuesday, well, a week from, on the 13th.
It's coming out.
Yes.
And then we got a comment from Arkle. Brian Weber says, looking forward to Ben's reaction to my tier ranking video. It may end up being a regular thing, seeing as this first one got more views in one day than my last Star Trek Online video got in a month.
Oh, dear.
And then we got a comment from Pia de los Muertos, a.k.a. Pia Thrasher. She says, I see you got my messages. Ha, ha, ha. Yes, we did, and we loved playing them. It was wonderful to have you do that for us. Thank you.
Yes.
And then we got a comment from, actually, this is regarding TG Geeks episode number 292. We did a birthday shout out to Brian Dillon, and he writes back saying, thank you. And then lastly, regarding LA Short's world premiere, Wichita, a comedy about modern marriage and betrayal. Got a comment from Patricia Chica. She says, thank you so much, TG Geeks, for supporting female directors. We love you. And of course, we support female directors because female directors are awesome.
Yes.
And that is our feedback for this week.
If you want to leave a comment, you can do that. You can do it on our Facebook page at TG Squared Studios. You can go to tggeeks.com, or you can look us up on Twitter or Instagram or any other place that you can find us and leave a comment. We also have a listener feedback line that is 469-TG-Geeks. That is and you can leave a voicemail for us, and we'll play it on air like we did for Pia's. And that is 469-844-3357. And as always, please play nice. As everybody knows, we are huge supporters of independent creators, whether it's filmmakers, comic book artists, writers, or others. We want you to be able to go and see their stuff, go to their Facebook pages, their Etsy pages, their web pages, their Twitter, Instagram, wherever you can find them. Take a look at their stuff. Please buy their stuff if you're interested in it. Talk to them. Talk to other people about them. Because it's this convention scene where a lot of these independent creators make a lot of their money, for their work that they're doing outside of their regular jobs, if they have a regular job, has dried up this year. So nobody is getting seen or anything. So please consider supporting independent creators. The Joshua Tree Feeding Program is a 501c3 nonprofit food pantry for the HIV/AIDS community in Maricopa and Pinal counties. They offer a place where clients can select from a wide assortment of nutritional foods to take home, and they set it up like a store. It's a food bank that's set up like a store so that the clients can pick and choose what food they prefer, and this empowers them, and they don't waste any food. Please consider supporting Joshua Tree through a single gift or a monthly recurring gift. You can do that by going to their website, jtfp.org. If you are trans or are questioning your gender identity, and if you are in crisis or are feeling isolated and need someone to talk to, or you know of someone in a similar situation, there is a special hotline just for you. The hotline is provided by translifeline.org and staffed by trained counselors who are transgender themselves. The hotline in the U.S. is 877-565-8860. In Canada, it is 877-330-6366. Or you can go to translifeline.org to learn about the important work they are doing. Please reach out for help. You are not alone.
Yeah, baby. They're like two gay geeks. They're together, you know. They're two gay guys and they're geeks. Is that okay?
Heavy sigh. So this is the second part of our two-show conversation.
Two-show
conversation.
Two gay show.
Two
show. What?
What?
What are you talking about?
What were you saying?
No, I'm confused now.
What were we talking about?
Two TV show
conversation.
Two rewatching shows.
Oh, my God. Warehouse 13.
Oh, yes. Warehouse 13. What a
and that's a show we watched.
What a strange show, but it was
so
wonderful.
Fun. Well, this is a show that we watched from the very beginning.
Yep.
When it was on Sci-Fi, and every week we caught the new episode and we watched it all the way that way. I mean, we didn't have the opportunity the first time around to just kind of, mainline and throughout the entire series like we did this time around.
Didn't exist. At that time, for the most part.
Yeah, I don't think there was much available in terms of streaming, whereby you could binge watch. But we were able to, obviously, this time, which was great fun. But I'm just simply saying that to say that we did watch it
right
on its original run, and we were pretty religious about it and enjoyed it that entire time.
Oh, yeah, and it was even more fun. This time, however, on this rewatch, because we were watching it so regularly and sometimes 1 and 2 episodes a night that some of the silliness kind of wore a little thin.
It can. But what I think, so obviously we're talking about the Agent Pete Latimer.
Oh, my God.
Who could, after a while, really...
He was a 12-year-old.
All the way through this whole freaking show.
Yeah, 5 seasons.
Yeah. But they kind of addressed that at the very end of the series.
Yeah.
They addressed why he behaves this way.
Yeah, but I mean, he was a lovable character and was actually quite instrumental and quite insightful on some of the artifact things that they chose. Now, this is for those that don't know about Warehouse 13, it was a show where there were agents, quote unquote, agents of Warehouse 13 that they would track down what they called artifacts, and these are pieces of whatever, tchotchkes, anything that are imbued with powers that create unusual events. And
some of them good, some of them bad.
Some of them good, some of them bad. There's always a downside to the artifact.
Well, especially if it's a bad artifact.
Right. And then they had to go retrieve them, and they stored them in the warehouse. So that's what the show is all about. And we have Pete and Myka, who are our 2 agents that were both Secret Service.
Yeah.
And then we have Artie,
Yeah.
who is the longtime warehouse agent.
I'm not
who's
sure
the
what his
grumpy old man.
I'm not sure what his job will be called now. I mean, technically, I guess he's still an agent, but
Yeah.
he's more like the manager
Right.
of the warehouse.
And of course, then there's spooky Mrs. Frederick.
The caretaker of the warehouse.
Yes.
Spooky Mrs. Frederick, who we all loved.
I love Mrs. Frederick. And then we had Lena, the innkeeper of the bed and breakfast where they all
Who's technically
lived.
also an agent.
Yes. And then we had two characters that came along as well. We had Claudia, who is a warehouse agent that Artie has known for a very long time,
Since she
that
was a
we
little
discover
child.
throughout the whole
Although she didn't know it.
series.
She didn't realize it until much later.
Yeah, and then we have Aaron Ashmore's character of
Jinx,
who is a gay man. And
not in real life. The
not in real
actor's
life.
not
No,
gay,
no,
but the
no.
character was.
The character was. And so we have these wonderful pieces of historic facts that are twisted just a bit to fit these artifacts and create these things of, we have the what was it, a nautical piece that stopped time for 42 minutes, and then we have this, and we have Marie Antoinette's such and such, or cake fork, or whatever it was.
I know, it was a whole variety of just really oddball things.
Yeah, but there was some good history involved, but it was teaching about history, but also then these crazy artifact situations. And there was always some crazy something that was happening in the episode. A lot of fun, a lot of crazy fun things.
Yeah, but I think
a lot of humor.
There a lot of humor, but the heart of the show would be the cast.
Yeah, the ensemble.
Once
again.
And you see, there was such a... And I mentioned this last night when we got to the end of the series, when we finally finished watching it. One of the things that I really loved about this, and you can see this with a lot of the shows that we gravitate towards, we really seem to move towards strong ensemble work.
Right.
Because there's something really fun about watching a good cast come together and work together as some sort of a team. Be it Star Trek Voyager, Eureka, Warehouse 13, Grimm, which we just started a rewatch on today, or Fringe. I mean, any number of shows. It's always about the ensemble that makes it really interesting.
That's one we should watch again, too.
Which one? Fringe? Yeah, we need to do a Fringe rewatch.
Put that on the list.
That's on the list, along with Babylon 5 and Stargate SG-1. But see, again, I mentioned all these shows that are all about ensembles. And I think the thing that really draws us towards them is watching a group of people come together in unity, bringing all their differences.
Right.
Every unique quality that they have, how they're able to come together and create this larger whole, if you will. The sum is great. The one is greater than the sum of all of its parts, or however that phrase goes.
Right.
You see this wonderful camaraderie take place and the sense of family. And it really hit home with me on one episode where Myka comes back to the team.
Right.
She leaves for a time because she doubts herself. She comes back, and what did we see? We saw this great gathering of the team around the table at the B&B where they're all staying. And I found it so heartwarming.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no heavy drama. There's no crisis. Oh, my God, how are we going to save the world this time? None of that. This is about all these different people coming together, as a family. And I found it so beautiful.
Right. And what's really nice, and obviously what makes certain shows popular, is the chemistry between those people in the cast. Mm-hmm. And that's what really kind of draws, and you can really tell
when it works.
When it really, really works. They become part of your family, and you become part of their family, if you will.
I mean, something you said last night, which I echo, and that is, why did we keep coming back to these? Because we're inviting them into our home.
Right. Exactly.
In a way.
Yeah.
We want to see what they're doing.
And the last episode was very hard.
That was tough.
Yeah.
Man, I mean, you and I were both in tears.
There was one scene that was just, wow.
Very powerful.
Yeah.
And when, and you kind of identify with Pete when he realizes, spoilers. Okay, spoiler alert, if you haven't watched the show, when Pete realizes, they're coming to the end of their tenure
Yeah.
as agents for the warehouse.
Yeah, and they're doing this thing that is what is the defining moment of their time as a warehouse agent.
Mm-hmm.
And every one of them has a singular moment except for Pete, and it's all of them.
Yeah.
And
Every bit of it.
Yeah.
Because he realized, and I think that was the most touching of them all, is how his entire time redefined his entire life.
Right. Well,
at that point.
And you also have to understand that he's a recovering alcoholic.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to be that person that he was before he was in recovery.
Exactly.
And the warehouse and those that have been involved with the warehouse are part of his family and have helped keep him sober.
Mm-hmm.
So.
It's a wonderful. I don't know what I'm trying to say here. There was just something really touching about seeing how he kind of represented us. Excuse me. He was really representing us as fans. He was giving voice to, we don't want to see this end.
Right, exactly.
None of us wanted to see it end.
Oh, no.
And to see him confess to every single one of them, that's part of the, in a way, he was kind of reliving one of the steps of the 12-step program.
Right.
That confession.
Right.
And here he is, he's confessing, all of you, all of this is what made me who I am today, and I love you all. I mean, that's a really mature self-analysis on his part, and one that I thought was very touching. And by the time that happened, I'm like, tears are beginning to pour out of my eyes.
Yeah.
Because it was so beautiful to watch. And I was like, I don't think I'm really ready to see you guys go yet. I mean, okay, we'll put it to bed. That's another one we'll put to bed for 3 or 4 years, but we'll revisit it.
Right.
Because these people are so wonderful. I mean, even Artie, who was just such a crass individual when he started, by the time you're halfway through the series, you realize there's a reason why he's that way.
Exactly. I will say there was one thing that kind of bothered me about the series, and I think the writers kind of lost their way a little bit. Sometimes they made the characters do stupid stuff.
Yeah.
It's just idiot plot stuff.
Well,
and
there's a reason.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it
not,
got a little old, but
it does. I mean, if you're watching
it's like
it,
you're just standing there. Why aren't you doing something?
Yeah.
You're just standing there watching the bad guy do his thing instead
exactly.
of
Why don't you have your freaking Tesla out and zap the guy?
Exactly.
And, we see a lot of that. And again, you pointed out the fact that, because we're watching these episodes in succession, it's easy for us to point that out and to have it kind of grate on our nerves a bit.
Yeah, instead of watching it one episode every week, where you kind of got time in between to kind of forget they did dumb stuff.
It was a completely different model that they were using when they were making that show.
Exactly.
So, and we also have to remember that this is not hard sci-fi, very serious drama. This is a very lighthearted show.
Oh, extremely lighthearted.
Very lighthearted. That does have some serious moments appropriately placed.
Right.
But it's still a show that's meant to be fun.
Right. And the guest cast that they had was just phenomenal. And they fell right into the whole family piece
Lindsay
of it as
Wagner,
well.
Renee Auberjonois, Kate Mulgrew.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I wish I could have had more of Kate Mulgrew.
I know.
I loved her.
Yeah. And of course, they did an episode, as Eureka did an episode. Let's see, both, I think Eureka and Warehouse 13 did a telenovela.
Oh.
And
did Eureka do a telenovela?
Yes.
I'm trying to remember.
Yes, because Fargo was Don Fargo or something.
Oh, I got to go back on that. I don't recall.
Yeah, and then there was, it was just a small part of the episode.
Oh, just a small segment.
They fell into it.
Yeah, but not like your Warehouse 13 where the
whole episode.
That whole plot line was the telenovela, which was hilarious.
And they both did a animated as well.
I'm trying to remember Warehouse 13's...
Eureka did, and then...
oh, yeah, that's right.
they had the animated.
Yeah, there was one artifact that created an animated sequence.
Yeah, and it was a video game.
Yeah,
video game animated sequence. So it was just really. I mean, obviously they were both sci-fi shows, and I think they had some producers or something in common.
Well, we know it.
They did
they were able to do 2 crossovers. There was one where Fargo came to Warehouse, and then there was Claudia went over to Eureka, each one upgrading something at the other's place.
Right.
And it's a pity we didn't get more of that.
Yeah.
I would like to have seen more. But when you have 2 different shows like that, trying to create a situation whereby you can do a lot of bridging becomes very problematic. Because I remember when Deep Space Nine premiered, the people at Paramount said, "Oh yeah, we intend to do lots of crossovers and lots of this and lots of that," and it turns out they couldn't do it because the production not standards, but the production schedule for each one were so opposite that there was no way they could get them together at the same time with any sense of regularity. So that had to be just kind of thrown out. So it was great that we could get them to cross over the few times that they did. I would have liked to have seen more, because I think it could have been a lot of fun. I mean, holy cow, can you imagine Jack Carter in the warehouse?
Oh, my God. With that stupid look on his face.
And everything's a thingy.
A thingy, yeah.
Or...
That thingy, that did the thing that was... That thing.
Yeah, exactly. The tap dancey thingy, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. It would have been hilarious to watch.
Exactly.
Or to have Myka.
He would have been as bad as Pete at touching things.
Oh God, yeah. or have Pete and Myka show up in the town of Eureka because an artifact landed there.
Exactly.
I'm sure the writers thought of that at some point, and it would have been hilarious if they'd been able to pull it off. It's a shame they couldn't do it. I would like to have seen it, but be that as it may, Warehouse 13, what a fantastic show. Yeah. I'm really glad we got to do the rewatch. I'm sorry it's over.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was so much fun.
And it's interesting, too, to look at IMDb and the trivia on each episode.
Oh, yeah, lots of trivia. But, yeah, great show. If you haven't checked out Warehouse 13, do so. It streams on Amazon Prime.
Yep.
And here's where we do our weekly review. These are articles that we published on our website at tggeeks.com, and we will have the links for each of these articles in the show notes for this episode number 294 at tggeeks.com, starting with Sunday, September 27th, Nerdy Chupacabras number 15. Excuse me. On Monday, September 28th, TG Geeks number 293. On Tuesday the 29th, Things We Dig by Pia Thrasher to premiere at Screamfest LA. What a wonderful horror short.
Great.
I love that. On Wednesday the 30th, excuse me, bad allergies, people. Andrea's Angle. The Glorias gives an insightful view of Gloria Steinem, and that movie is also on Amazon Prime. Also on the 30th, Arizona Opera launches its reimagined season with virtual studio spotlight series October 2nd. On Thursday, October 1st, Ben's gay breakdown, House of Usher, does not fall in on itself. Let me just say, this is a movie that did not suck. It was just bad. But it did not suck. Doggone it. On Friday the 2nd, Hamish Downey's 5 Questions with Christopher James, and we close off the week Saturday, October 3rd, This Got Made, hosted by Carlton Tetley, Episode 9, Supergirl number 21. That one I think is my favorite to date.
Oh, yes. I posted on Facebook. I said irrepressible, if not inebriated, Carlton Tetley. Anyway.
That one is my favorite. It is so funny.
Craziness.
Have to give a
power through it.
Yeah, really. Have to give a couple of shout outs. First to the Arkle Times Post-Dispatch news. You heard from Arkle a little bit earlier during the feedback. Brian Weber. He is the human Arkle, and we give him a shout out because the Post-Dispatch news does republish our content from time to time. And you can find the Post-Dispatch news by finding him on Twitter. Look for Arkle at ARKLE. And while you're doing that, go to YouTube and look for Arkle Studios. Brian has a number of projects. His Shameless Cash Grab series, his Rants vs. Zombie series, and his game videos of Trick and Treat, as well as Star Trek Online. And we must also give some shout-outs to a couple of Facebook groups because they also republish, well, we republish our content there. First, Two Gay Geeks After Hours. Big thanks to the moderators. When I asked if we could share our content there, they said, please share away. The URL is facebook.com/groups/Gay Geeks After Hours. And then to the Gay Geek for also allowing us to share our relevant articles and episodes there. Their URL is facebook.com/groups/The Gay Geek. And we must give special thanks to their moderator, Jeremiah Reeves.
Thank you, Jeremiah. And lastly, we can be found on Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, as well as where other fine podcasts can be found. Also, check us out on Krypton Radio, 3 a.m. and 3 p.m. Pacific Time on Tuesdays, and listen to their other content. They are a 24-hour geeky internet radio station. Please rate us and review us on iTunes. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Did I get that out of whack?
No, you did it right.
That should do it for this episode of TG Geeks Webcast. Be sure to check out our article for this webcast episode at tggeeks.com. And remember, you can comment on our Facebook page as well as our website, or you can leave us a voicemail at 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357. From TG Squared Studios, I'm Keith Lane. Thanks for listening. Please be kind to yourself and those around you. Stay home, stay safe, wear a mask. Peace.
Cheers.